Hello students, welcome to Install's English class, where we believe in democratizing education for all. Imagine you walk into a room where a lively discussion is happening. People are sharing different opinions, each explaining their side with strong reasons. This is exactly what you'll experience when reading a discursive passage, exploring various viewpoints and thinking carefully about them. So, get ready to sharpen your skills to understand and engage with such thoughtful discussions. Let's start with something you do every day: reading. You read texts, messages, books, even exam questions. But here's something to think about. Do you just see the words, or do you actually grasp what they're saying? That's the difference between simply reading and understanding. And that brings us to the heart of what we are learning today. What is comprehension? Comprehension is the complex cognitive process involving the intentional interaction between reader and text to extract meaning. In simple words, it means that reading real text isn't passive, it's active. Your brain works with the text, makes sense of the ideas, and figures out what the writer really wants you to understand. Now, let's see how this skill becomes especially important when dealing with discursive passages. So, what exactly is a discursive passage? It explores complex topics in depth, going beyond just the surface to examine different sides of an issue. It doesn't focus on one opinion, but presents multiple viewpoints and builds logical arguments, giving you a balanced look supported by clear reasons. More importantly, it aims to persuade through reasoned opinions and critical analysis. This means it's not just about sharing facts. It invites you to think carefully, question ideas, and sometimes be convinced by well-structured arguments. This kind of writing pushes you to engage deeply and weigh different perspectives thoughtfully. Now that we know what a discursive passage is, let's discover the three main types you'll come across. First is the argumentative passage, where the writer takes a clear position and defends it strongly with evidence and reasoning. Next, we have the informative type, which presents different viewpoints fairly and aims to provide a balanced understanding without pushing a particular opinion. Finally, there's the persuasive passage, which tries to convince the reader to agree with the writer's perspective using emotional and logical appeals. Knowing these types help you identify the writer's purpose and approach, making it easier to comprehend and analyze the passage effectively. To tackle discursive passages well, some key comprehension skills are required. First, you must understand the main ideas. For example, if a passage talks about climate change, know that the main idea is the impact of human activity on the environment, and not just random facts about weather. Next, infer the author's tone. Is the writer hopeful, worried, or angry? Like if they say, "We must act now," the tone is urgent. Then, evaluate the argument and ask yourself, are the reasons strong or weak? If someone says, eating junk food is bad because it causes illness, that's a solid argument. Also, identify the key details. These are the supporting facts or examples, like statistics or real-life cases. Lastly, expand your vocabulary so tricky words don't confuse you. Knowing words like mitigate or consequence helps you understand the passage better. With these skills, reading and answering questions becomes much easier and more accurate. So now that we know the different types of discursive passage, let's talk about a few useful comprehension strategies that'll make reading and understanding them a lot easier. First, prediction. This means guessing what might happen next based on clues. For example, if a story talks about dark clouds gathering, you might predict it's going to rain. Next is visualization, creating mental images as you read. Imagine a forest described as dense and green, and you picture yourself walking through tall trees. Then comes asking questions, being curious and questioning what you read. You might ask, why did the character act that way? Or, what does this word mean? Summarizing is another strategy, putting the main ideas into your own words. After reading a paragraph about pollution, you might say, the paragraph explains how pollution harms animals. We also use clarifying, stopping to clear up confusion. If you don't understand a word or sentence, you pause and look it up or reread. Finally, making connections, linking the text to your own life, other texts, or the world. For instance, relating a story about friendship to your own experiences with friends. By practicing these strategies, you'll become a stronger reader, ready to tackle any passage with confidence. Before you jump straight into reading a passage, think of it like watching a movie trailer. The trailer gives you a glimpse of the main story, the key moments, and what to expect. Similarly, previewing the passage by focusing on the first paragraph, the first sentence of each paragraph, and the concluding sentences helps you get a clear overview. This way, you're not lost in detail from the start, but have a roadmap that guides your understanding as you read through the whole text. At the same time, identify the topic and title and connect these with what you already know about the subject. Asking yourself questions like, what is it about? What do I already know? It gets your brain ready to understand better. Next, it's important to determine the text type. Is it a description, an argumentative, or a narrative? Knowing this helps you predict the style and purpose of the passage. Then take a moment to check the text, organization, and structure. See if it's divided into clear parts or sections, which can make comprehension easier. Finally, keep an eye out for any maps, numbers, italicized words, or names that might give you clues or important information to support your understanding. By following these steps carefully, you'll be able to read and analyze passages much more confidently. Think of reading a discursive passage like solving a puzzle. If you try to fit the pieces together without knowing the picture, it gets confusing. That's why having a smart strategy before you start reading is like looking at the puzzle's picture on the box. It saves time and helps you put the pieces together more easily. These simple rules for discursive passages will guide you just like that. First, don't read the passage first. Instead, always check the questions before reading. This helps you focus on what matters and saves time. By knowing what the questions ask, you won't get distracted by unnecessary details. Also remember to focus only on the questions, not on any particular answer option while reading. Next, a crucial rule is that the answer must come from the passage itself. Any option not supported by the text is never correct, or base your answers only on what the passage says. Don't get misled by choices that distract you or are outside the passage scope. Now, here are some tips to improve reading comprehension. If you don't understand a word, don't worry. A simple way is to reread the previous and next sentences to find clues that clarify the meaning. Finally, if a question feels tough, don't hesitate to reread. If questions are difficult, reading the passage again sharpens your understanding and helps you catch details you might have missed earlier. Following these simple steps will make reading discursive passages much easier and more effective. To get started with discursive passages, it's helpful to first know what kind of questions you'll encounter and how they are structured. Let's begin by understanding the guidelines that will make your approach more effective and focused. When preparing for discursive passages, it's important to understand the text format. You will face multiple choice questions based on a discursive passage of 400 to 450 words to test inference, evaluation, and vocabulary. This means the questions won't just ask for direct facts, but also your ability to read between the lines, judge arguments, and understand key words. You won't have to answer all questions. Instead, you will answer 10 out of 12 questions to be answered. This gives you a chance to focus on the questions you find easiest or most confident about. Knowing these guidelines helps you manage your time and strategy effectively in exams. With these guidelines in mind, let's put them into practice by looking at an example of discursive passage and the kind of questions you might be asked. Let's begin by reading the passage titled, "The Role of Youth in Building a Better Society." Discursive passage. The role of youth in building a better society. Youth play a vital role in shaping the future of any country. With energy, creativity, and fresh ideas, they have the potential to bring about positive change. However, many young people face challenges such as peer pressure, lack of direction, and exposure to negative influence. To harness the full potential of youth, it is important to instill strong moral values early on. Schools and families must work together to teach respect, responsibility, and empathy. When young people learn to make ethical choices, they become capable of overcoming obstacles and contributing to society in a meaningful way. Moreover, providing opportunities for youth to engage in community service and leadership roles help them develop a sense of purpose and belonging. Encouraging critical thinking and problem-solving skills enables them to tackle social issues such as poverty and inequality effectively. It is equally important to create safe environments where youth can express themselves and grow without fear of discrimination or violence. By supporting their mental and emotional well-being, society ensures that young people can reach their full potential. In conclusion, empowering youth with values, skills, and opportunities is essential for a brighter, more just society. When given the right guidance and support, young people can become the architects of positive change. Alright class, let's go through these questions together to check our understanding of the passage about the role of youth in building a better society. Multiple choice questions. First up, what do you think is the main idea here? Is it that the youth should avoid community service, or that they play a key role in building a better society? Yes, exactly. It's the second one, because the whole passage talks about how important youth are for positive change. Great. Now moving on. What's important for young people to overcome challenges? Is it ignoring moral values or learning strong moral values? Right, learning strong moral values. That's what the message emphasizes as the foundation for success. Next question. How can you develop a sense of purpose? Watching TV? No. Avoiding social issues? Still incorrect. The correct answer is by engaging in community service and leadership roles. That helps them feel connected and motivated. Here's another. What does the passage say about safe environments? Are they necessary or do they help youth grow? Correct. Safe environments help youth express themselves and grow. That's crucial for their development. Last one. What's the overall message about the youth in the passage? Do they need to be left alone or do they need guidance and support? Exactly, they need guidance and support to bring positive change. Well done! This way of thinking helps you get to the heart of the passage. Let's quickly recap what we've covered with Instalights. We first saw understanding comprehension and discursive passage definition, learning what discursive passages are and how comprehension works. Then we explored the types of discursive passage and key comprehension skills, understanding the different kinds and what skills we need to tackle them. Next, we discussed comprehension strategies and previewing techniques to help read passages smarter and more effectively. After that, we learned about the rules for approaching passages and exam guidelines to manage time and answer questions confidently. Finally, we put it all into practice with passage practice with multiple choice questions to test our understanding. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep watching Install. Bye.